This is the 29th anniversary of a crime against a man, his family, the presidency, and the republic for which he stood. I'm honored to have this opportunity to speak to those upon whom we are depending to lead a movement which could result in the restoration of one of our most cherished democratic principles, respect for the rule of law. This is a time of emergency, a crisis in the life of an experiment our forefathers launched long ago, one which we still advertise as being dedicated to justice for all, one upon whose outcome the future of our republic depends. This is a time when a miscarriage of justice can ignite a firestorm of public indignation that can result in murders and mass destruction of entire communities. Today, I implore you to take action against the shocking decline in the sanctity of and respect for the rule of law. The highest officials in this country's legal establishment have never enjoyed less trust and respect, a condition brought about by a succession of shocking abuses of the power which we conferred on them. We have a Justice Department which is not always just, one which has subordinated its responsibilities to the will of the executive, a Justice Department which all too often bows to the wishes of the tenants of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue instead of the tenants of law. We cannot expect men in the streets to respect the law while men in high office continue to trample on it. The examples are numerous, but let me review just a few. In 1979, the House Select Committee on Assassinations sent the Department of Justice their report and 12 volumes of appendices, including an acoustics report showing a 95% probability of there being more than one shooter in Dealey Plaza 29 years ago today. The House Committee's report made specific recommendations for further investigation and concluded, quote, "The committee believes on the basis of the evidence available to it that President John F. Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. The committee is unable to identify the other gunman or the extent of the conspiracy." Close quote. Over 9 years later, the Justice Department replied that they could find no evidence to support the conclusions of the committee. Was this case of such minor priority that it had to wait 9 years to receive their attention? Or was it such an unpopular topic inside other government agencies that the committee's report was allowed to gather dust in the hopes that it would be forgotten, which in no small measure it was? During Iran conflict, Ronald Reagan's influence over Attorney General Edwin Meese resulted in a disgrace. The prosecutions of self-confessed wrongdoers by Special Prosecutor Lawrence Walsh have so far ended in the reverse of Oliver North's conviction. Poindexter's conviction is on appeal, and there was a mistrial in the Clara George case. This situation has raised indignant concerns over the high cost of attempting to convict persons many of whom had admitted their crimes in front of a committee of the Congress and millions of citizens who watched those proceedings. Bush is being urged to pardon Caspar Weinberger. I ask, pardon him for what? He has not been convicted of anything yet. Gerald Ford set a precedent when he pardoned Richard Nixon in the Watergate scandal. Federal Judge Marvin Shue, presiding over a recent trial in Atlanta, Georgia, dealing with illegal loans to Iraq, had repeatedly called upon the Justice Department to appoint a special prosecutor to look into possible criminal violations on the part of the Bush administration. The judge's sentiments were echoed by the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, and the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. But Attorney General William Barr turned a deaf ear to all of them until two things happened. The November election had passed, and the pressure became so great that he finally agreed to a compromise and appointed retired federal Judge Lacey to inquire into the matter. Why should it have taken so long, and why was there a compromise? Or stated another way, upon what meat doth this Attorney General feed that he hath grown so great? Such abuses have not always succeeded in cowing those entrusted with preserving the rule of law. When conduct during the trial of the Watergate burglars convinced Judge John J. Sirica that justice was being thwarted, he saw to it that the attempt failed. Good men did not just stand by when the tenant at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue tried to strong-arm Attorney General Elliot Richardson into firing Archibald Cox. The courage of Richardson and his deputy, William Ruckelshaus, was eloquent testimony to steadfastness in the proper administration of law, conduct on the part of the administration of justice to which the citizens of this country are entitled. The actions of those officials reflected great credit on themselves and their department. I'm counting on you to emulate their examples. You must replenish America's arsenal of justice by refusing to equivocate in order to please. You must put an end to the bureaucratic dictum which advises that the best way to get along is to go along. Your chance could not have come at a better time. In January, we will inaugurate new leaders, unburdened by the concerns of a Cold War which has finally passed. Younger men, much closer to your own generation. Men whom we are counting on to prove once again that this is a government designed for the people, not for the convenience of public officials and their appointees. Our country desperately needs law enforcement officers who uphold the law without discrimination. We need a Justice Department filled with people who believe in justice for all. Those are the people who will eventually unravel the mysteries surrounding the Kennedy assassination. When the rhetoric of today's proceedings have long been forgotten, the contribution which we are counting on you to make will always be remembered.